WSTI, I blogged about it when it was right here in the 140s. This is a pump and dump, and thank God for one of my students who's a mailman, and he alerts us when he's sending out mailers. When it breaks the day high here at 150 this next day, you know, you kind of have to buy it. I can't buy it because promoters are subscribers. Some promoters are watching this video right now, and anytime I buy a stock, they like to tank it because I've educated the world as to their unethical activities. So I'm kind of cursed, but that doesn't mean that you can't buy it. And when a pump is breaking out to new highs on high volume, and you know that there are hard copy mailers being mailed out in mass, then you can buy it. And we've had a nice 33% run up in 3 days. There's a lot of mutual funds out there that would love to make 33% over the course of the year, and they look down on penny stocks and they say that they're scams and that they're unpredictable. And this is a clear technical breakout with a promotion. And I'm glad that literally dozens, if not hundreds of students are buying this stock, just like 1,000 or 2,000 shares, but making a few $100, selling for the 30% profits. I will eventually short this, but because of what I've done and exposed with penny stock pump and dumps, I can't buy pumps. That's my curse. So this is basically my Germany. Wait for this analogy. Another one that I really did well on, this was my Portugal trade, where I was shorting this in the 790s and the 8s yesterday, thinking that it would be a double top here, and then we got word on Twitter and in chat rooms that there was going to be a Seeking Alpha expose, and I was short overnight. Not huge, because this stock is kind of a pain in the butt, kind of like Portugal. And it opened, actually it spiked at the open. Sometimes exposés don't really hit, that happens. And for at the open, I was lucky just to get out with a profit. I made like 1,700 this morning, pretty good. And then you got to reshort it when it takes out the 770 level, which is support from here, and really 760. You had two chances to short, but I did not, and this was my mistake. This was like my last 30 seconds of the U.S. Portugal game, where I let Ronaldo take away my victory, because I nailed this, calling it, saying, look, this can crash 30 to 50 cents a share. It actually crashed $1.30, $1.40 a share. So I underestimated it. And I'm glad that a lot of you guys didn't. Sometimes there's delayed panics and delayed spikes. We saw it with RMBS when there was a delayed upgrade, or a delayed spike regarding two analyst upgrades. When I held it overnight after the earnings win, I only made 20 cents a share, and then it went up $1 a share an hour later. So sometimes there's a delay. It's not an exact science, but I'm glad I positioned you guys in the right spot. And then probably the stock that I traded the best, although still not perfectly. This is kind of like my Ghana game, because the U.S. beat Ghana. For those of you guys, right now this is funny because the World Cup is going on, but I know people who are watching this, a year or 2 years from now, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? The U.S. just advanced to the round of 16. We lost to Germany. We tied with Portugal, although we should have won. We were winning with 30 seconds to go when Ronaldo scored against us. And then we beat Ghana, even though we didn't control the game. We kind of got lucky. So I'm making the comparison with those three trades, with those three games. I don't know if it really works. It works in my head. That's all that matters. But MEET is another play that I really positioned myself and you guys perfectly. When they had the initial press release right here, you can see this little green candle. It doesn't even mean much in the grand scheme of things, but this little trend change, and you can see there was a volume spike of nearly 2 million shares traded that day. They announced that they had record users in their chat. So now they are kind of a WhatsApp competitor, and they're growing. As before, they were a WhatsApp competitor, but if you look at their numbers, like it's basically stagnant. There's no growth for years. This was a change, and this is not my typical kind of news, as I've said in webinars now and in multiple video lessons. I prefer earnings winners, contract winners, but when you have a speculative play that is down 50% off of its highs in a hot sector, you can kind of bend the rules and be like, okay, this could be meaningful. So I bought it short term and long term. and it did absolutely nothing short term for 4 days, and I sold for a few cents a share. But I'm glad that I held it longer term, because then we got an analyst upgrade who, I guess it took him 4 days to write his report, because then he upgraded it based on that new chat user number, and he gave it a $4.50 a share price target. And I sold my long term position into this because it just wasn't spiking. This was also a delayed spike when the analyst report came out. It was at like 215, and I'm like, screw it, the stock is just cursed. An hour later, it goes up to 240, and then right here, 2 days ago, they announced another record chat user thing. So perhaps I should have held my longer term position more. This is a nice 40% winner. So